So we'll start with follow-up from the public meeting. So basically it's chest in, if anyone remembers anything else, but chest in COVID recovery or COVID response.
What about the budget? Is that something that we should outreach about to our constituents about the budget once DC comes up with their budget? And
can we talk about the testing first? And then I do think budget is important. But just
I think kind of for this purpose right now at the moment, we're just talking about what we heard from constituent testimony.
Yeah, just I'm curious. I'm hearing a lot from my schools about the testing issue, less about virtual option, and I don't want to discount that. So I'm curious to hear if other folks are hearing about that as well. But in my ward, I'm hearing a lot directly to me, and then also just kind of like monitoring the social media stuff about either DCPS like canceling their weekly regular testing they're supposed to do, the 20%, or not testing, or like some schools are like asking for volunteers to go to the library and pick up PCR tests for them. I want to propose to the chancellor or the DME, maybe more appropriately, to hold some town halls to respond to constituents' questions about these things.
Of course, people who were concerned would then say to me, well, does this mean they're going to close schools? And my answer to them would be, I don't know, because we don't have like a clear metric for when that happens. Now, what I heard Superintendent Grant say was they do have a metric for when that happens. And I know Representative Gasol, you and I have talked about this, and I think one of the things that we should be pushing for is just that to be more public and transparent.
The thing that I'm hearing is just that inconsistency from parents. And it's getting to the point that they're like, I'll just keep my child home because I know I can at least be more consistent with that.
Should we think about a resolution? People are in the dark as far as what's going on. The mayor has a meeting and tells us what the latest policies are. And the people in the schools don't even know about that until the mayor makes her meeting.
Maybe a resolution, but not before we communicate directly. I think that we need to start communicating directly much more often and really thinking about doing it as the default. And if it doesn't make sense for whatever reason, then we can move to that other step. And if they were better about messaging with that, I think they'd get a little more empathy and like maybe even some help,
right?
And so I think our first step should be to communicate, just communicate that and then ask them, so what do you think would be the best way to improve that situation?
I do think they should see us as a partner because people do call us, people do show up at our meetings and raise certain things. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're hearing those things directly.
In our public meetings, the superintendent, since I've been on the board, has always given a statement and then that's it. Is there any kind of a format? Emily, I think you'd know more than.
John Paul is raising his hand.
Superintendent attends our meetings as a guest, and so not as a member of the board. And so it wouldn't be like if we were in the old council chambers, it wouldn't be appropriate for us to address questions directly to someone else on the dais. And so we don't do that during virtual meetings either, because she's not a member of the board. And so we don't address folks that are not panelists or witnesses during public meetings. Would be in the working sessions, we would be able to have a conversation. It is much more informal, but the superintendent doesn't often attend our working sessions. It is more times for her staff to brief on particular issues. And I think, we might be able to have those types of conversations. I would note as well, though, that I don't know that we would necessarily want that to happen in the public space like that. Questioning, we don't have oversight, and that's not our function. And so questioning an agency director in that type of way is not really an appropriate thing for the state board to do in our meetings.
I hear what you're saying, John Paul. I think we could maybe at least quarterly or something invite her the way we invite the chancellor or the DME. But I do think there's value in being able to publicly engage her. And I don't think we need to do it every month. So how about if we do it, like 4 times out of the year?
Just some really high level quick takeaways. There are 42 total attendees, likely around 50 counting walk-ins. And out of those 13 survey respondents, so the survey was sent out twice, but to each by email by Alex. So we had 13 respondents. Good news is that both fall engagement sessions were rated pretty well on average between the two of them. We averaged 3.3 out of 4 for the rating system. And then as far as the positives go, a lot of the respondents really appreciated the opportunities for interaction, so the more free-flowing parts of it. So being able to see, other community members are also being able to talk with the board members. So that's great. The one constant feedback we did get that they like to see improved was that a lot of respondents felt there wasn't enough time for each of the sessions, and also not enough time for them to really interact. There was a lot of presentation, but not much conversation. And then finally, I just wanted to put up some other topics that respondents also wanted to hear from the state board about. So those include high school graduation requirements, COVID and school reopening, technology equity, social emotional wellness, teacher retention, and DEI efforts in schools.
We didn't come away with a lot of feedback on, sort of what folks took away or wish they had learned more about, or all of those things that would have helped us be more informed about those topics.
So all of you should have received an email yesterday from Alex. He, along with the fellows and myself, looked at the call log for 2021 and just put together a bunch of bullets and analyzed the calls that came in. I'm going to share my screen. So in 2021, and when we say 2021, we mean January 5th, 2021 to January 10th, 2022, we had 1,071 phone calls. And to put that into perspective, last year, 2020, we had 751 calls. And in 2019, prior to the pandemic, there were about 250 calls, around 250s. And so there's just been a major increase in phone calls per day. The biggest issues that come up are record requests. So we received 347 calls based on record requests. Callers would ask for transcripts for themselves, or it could be an organization calling on behalf of an individual to check on their records. And so that was the top one. School complaints was the next highest topic at 200 calls. And then the third topic is district-wide education systems and operations, just general questions. A lot of my calls are non-district residents asking about teaching in the district.
I would like to say that we've become more visible. We were much more visible as a board in 2021. And maybe that has something to do with, but I don't know.
So it might be good to have a refresher for members on those sensitive topics. Even like some people, Serena one time was, it was like somebody was looking for a child, and it was like, do we have the ability to even talk about that? So just preparing members for those cases that kind of can get sensitive for being a public official, but then also want to be responsive to people who are reaching out to us.
Are we mandated reporters? Okay, I think that's something that we need to talk about at the retreat.
Can we do a regular review on the constituent feedback form as well? I would like to do that monthly, or at least however often we do it, because if I'm going to send it out to folks, I want to kind of know what we're doing with it.
Thanks.
A fabulous meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.